Howdy folks, Kirk and Jay here with another tip of the day. These folks put a brand new roof on their house, and the roofer here, he did a great job. He did a step flashing and he's got his waterproof membrane here. Our job now is to tie it all together. First thing you guys got to do is get a weep screed. Now the weep screed will go over the step flashing. Why? Because we put this weep screed, I generally use a 2x4, which gives me about 1.5 inches, or I look at the flange, and it depends how high up this is. This is typical 4 inches. So what I'll do is I'll put this right about here so that when it rains, if the water goes through this stucco, which it shouldn't because it's old, it's been painted numerous times, that sort of seals it. We put this here. Now, our job after this piece is put on is to gently break out. Now, this is where the chore comes in. We have to cut this paper here, and all you folks, what if, say, we do all this and we do a horrible job matching this finish, which is unlikely? That doesn't matter too much. What really matters is to get it watertight, waterproof, because what good is a new roof if water hits this, sheds down, and goes right under here and into their house? That's not good. So what Jay is about to do is pull this down a little bit, and because this is a stud house, that means it was built before 1980, before the rules of plywood came into effect. We got to gently break this out, because if we use a hammer and use muscle, we'll break the membrane here. See this membrane? It's in pretty good shape, and guess what? We want to keep it in good shape. So we want to go our new paper under here and over this weep once we get it attached. And for you folks to say, well, why don't you take it to the roof? That's a big cardinal sin, guys. You can't take it to the roof, or you should not take it to the roof, because this roof is a 35-year roof. That means in 35 years it could fail, or sooner, depending on the heat and things like that. Well, you can replace this roof if you put a weep screed in and it's done properly without having to tear back into this stucco here. And I'm going to point out one thing here because it's sort of important, guys. A lot of folks will use these, and I've been using them for years, but Jay prefers his welding mask. He uses this for welding. It stops all this dust from going in his eyes, and it also has a mask. And very few of these you could use that don't steam up, but this is a pretty good one in case you guys want to do this yourself. Take a look at that area over there. Now these guys, we're in the hot sun right here, and I love it because we've had a long winter, and it's probably going to start raining again later on this week, but right now it feels like about 90 degrees, and we got at least 5 hours here. Depends on everything. What we do once we put this on, then we're going to take this, put it next to it, get rid of all of the dust, clean up everything. And again, guys, when you break out stucco or concrete, stucco has silica in it, and it has lye. If you inhale that stuff, I don't want to distribute fear, but it's kind of like asbestos. It goes in, does not come out. So it's not good. So wear something like this, because that dust will get in your hair, get in your ears, get in your eyeballs, and it will kick your butt in the evening. Anyway, we're going to get started and break this out. Once we got this weep on, we'll show you how we tie all this in. All right, guys, it's beating down on us, about 100 degrees. Okay, our new paper goes under this paper here. They're existing. When they saw cut this, they saw cut some of the paper, so that's why we got to break it out and fish it in. What kind of wire could you use? This 17 gauge, this 17 gauge, this is 17 gauge. This just happens to be a corner that I had, so I put it up there just for the heck of it. And Jay's looking at me and says, Dad, you got 5-minute mud. You got 5 minutes to put it on, or it's going to get hard as a rock. Cool. This is the trowel you guys should use, 14 by 5. I use a little bit bigger one. Why? Because I can, and it saves me a lot of time. So I'm taking this hot mud out of this bucket. What's hot mud mean? That means it's Portland cement mixed with sand, and then we put Lumenite in it. What the heck is Lumenite? That's an accelerator. We put the accelerator because we don't want to be here all day. Lumenite will not destroy the integrity of stucco. In fact, it strengthens it. All right. I feel it getting stiff, but actually I kind of like it when I got a challenge. I don't care much for this 100-degree weather, but it forced me to work fast. Why do I want to work fast? I don't, but the mud dictates what I do, how fast I do it. If this mud is setting up because Jay gave me the exact mix I want, then that's good. So what I'm doing is building it out now, guys. Building it out to the proper depth. What does that mean? That means this weep screed, it comes out 7/8 of an inch thick. And so this is 7/8 of an inch thick. I got it, Jay. I got it. Blam. Woo, that's getting hard. But I only need like 5 more minutes. Is this in your way?
Nope.
All right. What I'm trying to do, guys, is I stay above this weep screed. What happens if I put it below the weep screed? Well, we have to clean up a lot more mess. Meaning this is a weep screed here. And if I start at the bottom here, it'll fill this up with mud. We don't want to do that. So, and again, this is 5-minute mud. I don't recommend anybody use 5-minute mud unless you got a little thing like this. We're on top of a roof. We don't want to go all the way back down for this. Now this, I got an eyebrow way up in here. Is anybody going to see that? Not really. I don't know if you even want to try to get under there, Jay. Look how stiff this mud is. Okay. Now, get on there. All right. One more scoop, and they can't really see this part under this eave anyway. I'm using a margin trowel. Margin trowel will get way up in this corner where that big Congo trowel won't. One more here. You guys can't see that, but I'll finish this off right here. And then Jay's gonna mix some more cement. Why some more? Because this is a base coat. And the base coat, can I match this finish right here with this base coat? I think so, but we have a lot of materials on our truck. A whole bunch of materials on the truck. So we happen to have this exact same finish coat. This is La Habra 2030. So if I use this sand to match it, it's going to be a little bit too heavy. Anyway, so he's going to make that up. And when he comes back, I'll have this hard rubber floated. That just means, well, I'll show it to you. Jay just makes me up a little bit of color finish. It's a finer grit sand. That way I can match this right here. Here's a tip. If you get your stucco on, and a lot of folks say, Jay, how do I know when I've had enough on there? This is 7/8 of an inch, so that should equal the wall. That's how you know. And if you put too much on it, guys, you could do this. You could shave it like this with your trowel, or you can do what I often do is float it. This is called a hard rubber float. It compresses it, compacts it, so it's less likely to crack, and it straightens it out. Now, if this turned white or light gray, I've lost it, and then I can't do this. So how set is this? Let's find out. Kirk's the best. it is almost set because my finger should have went about an inch in there. So it's almost set. Now what I like to do is I go upward. I'm going upward like this. I'm pulling it into this joint so we don't get a hairline crack right there. So we pull up into it. Pull up into it, pull up into it, into it, into it. Make it pretty. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a skip trowel finish to match this one. Then we're simply going to roll this tarp up, and we got a water hose right down here. We're going to take that water hose and clean this edge because it doesn't matter how well you cover it. Some is going to get here, and we just wash that off. Okay, now for the sake of doing this texture, I'll get out my own way so you folks can see. Clean my own hawk off. All right. Now this mud here is what we call La Habra color finish with no color because they're going to paint this. And for you folks who say, well, gee whiz, Kirk, how come you never show painted finishes? Because when we're done, this has to set at least 2 weeks, guys, to 28 days. We don't do the painting, the homeowner will come out here and paint it this particular color. And this blue stuff right here, just a bonding agent, guys, so that if I go over this, it blends it in. Okay, so now I'm just going to apply the texture, and we're done. Okay, trying to get a little bit on here, and we just kind of rest it on there and let it skip. You folks can't see it, but if I were to use the same texture as the base coat, it would be much heavier. And then these folks might call me and say, Kirk, we painted that, and it doesn't look as pretty as you said it would. And while we're on the topic of looking pretty, guys, we do the best we can with every patch we do. We do the best possible with what we have to work with. Since we have 15 years of doing this on video, and I have 40 years under my belt where I used to have a crew, big crew, 12 guys for 20 years prior to this. I've learned you can't match every single finish, guys. You can do the best you can, and we're pretty good at this. I tell folks, I'll go over the existing just a hair, and to make certain this stucco adheres to that painted surface. That's what that blue stuff is. That's called Weldcrete by Larson's. Anyhow, all I'm doing now, guys, is putting what I feel is the best finish to match what they have. And as I said earlier, it is close to, it's hot. I just put it that way. It's hot, but I prefer the heat rather than the cold we've been experiencing for the last 3 months. And I'm going to get underneath that eave. You folks won't see me under there. And again, like I say, before we hit the road, we're going to pull this tarp, take that water hose that I have hung there, and just clean this down, and we're done. My name is Kirk. Jason's on the camera. If you guys have any questions about anything, text us. And everything we do today is the same applications that used to be done 60, 100 years ago. So everything we've shown so far in the last 15 years over thousands of videos, it's just as applicable today as it was when it first came out. So you could always type in your questions, say like how to skip trowel, how to brown coat, how to lath, and our videos will magically appear and go step by step and show you guys how to do it, so you don't have to pay somebody like me. My name's Kirk. Jason's on that camera, and he does most of this work too, so got to throw him, he's not just on the camera, he's a plasterer too, licensed and all that jazz. We thank you for watching it. As usual, we'll see you guys on the next one.
All right, folks, as always, we want to thank you all for watching. We really appreciate your questions and comments. Please let us know if there's anything you'd like to learn about. And as always, from the entire Giordano family, we'll see you on the next one. Okay, well, we're never going to get better than that, so...